afternoon. It's Wednesday, June 23rd, 2014.
It's actually Monday.
It is Monday, but Wednesday sure felt good, didn't it? And we're here to select a new House District 19 for representative. We're in the Senator Hearing Room, 555 Court Street. Now that I'm all discombobulated, let's get back on order and join us. We start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So again, stating it correctly, today's purpose is to interview 3 Republican Party nominees for the vacancy in House District 19. The nominees are Denise Bowles, Becky Mitz, and Jan Williamson. Now, your names were put alphabetically, not too hard, in 3 people, and we'll ask you a series of questions. I think there's 9 questions, and hoping that it works out that each of you will begin a question. We'll rotate down with each new question. You've been asked to prepare a 5-minute opening statement and closing statement, and with the questions, the answers have been limited to 3 minutes each. Now, I want to make it clear that some of them don't take 3 minutes. It's almost yes or no, so don't feel like you have to. But if you want to, you can. If you do get too long, Lynn, who has a special color-coded, let's see how that goes. When a yellow card goes up, there's 1 minute left, and the red card means time's expired. And then at the conclusion, we may or may not ask some questions or make comments. So let's start right out with with our prepared statements. And Denise, I'm going to look to you. Do either of you have anything you want to add that I have forgotten? Okay, then Denise, if you'd like to begin, please do.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Brentano and Carlson Cameron, for having us here today. Today represents another step in this process of appointment to the vacancy left by Commissioner Cameron. I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you the unique skill and experience that I bring to this position. I have lived in rural South Salem for nearly my entire life. I graduated from Sprague High School. My husband graduated from Sprague High School. I have 3 children currently enrolled at Sprague High School. Since we've married, we've raised our family here. We volunteered in our school, our church, our community for 20 years. We have deep multi-generational roots here. House District 19 is a diverse and interesting legislative district. It is both urban and rural. We have prisons and also the Center for Law Enforcement Officers for training. It contains the Salem Airport, Corbin University. It covers school districts, 2 school districts, and 3 separate towns. I know this district. My strongest asset, however, are the relationships that I have built over the last 9 years, working primarily for Representative Cameron as his legislative assistant, but also working at times for Representative Jeff Krupp, Representative Vic Gilliam, and Representative Sherry Springer, and that's a pretty diverse group of people. I believe the most important role of this appointed position is to maintain the strong customer service and responsiveness to constituent needs and community needs as they arise. I spent most of the last 9 years serving House District 19 under the leadership of Representative Kevin Cameron. I know the mayors of Almsville, Turner, and Salem and their city leadership. I've been in numerous town halls in the community listening to citizens and hearing their concerns. I have relationships in both school districts, the business, faith communities, nonprofit communities. I've helped facilitate responses to unexpected disasters like the Almsville tornado and the flooding that occurred in Turner and South Salem. The person appointed to finish out this term will likely not vote on legislation unless the governor calls it special session. But this person will be called upon to bring leadership to constituent needs and responsiveness to unexpected situations. I'm also not afraid to ask questions, get counsel from others, and to continue to learn. I have experience and strong convictions, but also the realization that this is a big job and there are many experts to call upon when needed. Additionally, this person will sit on several legislative committees. I would expect that they would fill Representative Cameron's vacancy on judiciary, rural communities, and transportation and economic development. Of course, Speaker Kotek will make that decision once this position is filled. Regardless, I am prepared to be an active participant on any committee I've been asked to serve on, and should we convene for a special session, I will listen to my constituents and the community I live in. I understand and support the values of this district, and that would be represented in how I voted issues both on the House floor and in committee. Not only do I know key leaders of House District 19, I know the Capitol. I have strong relationships with current representatives and their staffs. I've worked closely with Legislative Counsel, House Caucus Office, Chief Clerk's Office, Committee Services, and other Capitol Services personnel. I know how to get things done. My learning curve would be smaller than many because of my past professional experience, and I believe I would bring continuity to this office at this time. I have the skill set to be a strong leader and advocate for the people of House District 19. I have been a leader my entire life, whether it was chairing the Senate as student body vice president at Seattle Pacific University, or leading various fundraising campaigns for schools and teams, or running the Marion County volunteer effort for a presidential campaign. I also know how to serve, be a team player, and work with people that have differing philosophies and goals. As a state representative, it can be a delicate balance between principled leadership and collaboration with competing agendas. I am up for this challenge. Even though this is essentially a lame duck appointment, this community still deserves strong leadership and representation. I am prepared to provide that to the best of my ability. Should you choose me, it would be an incredible honor to serve out this term and continue to serve the community that I love. Thank you.
Becky?
You learn a lot about yourself when you go through a process like this, and one thing I've learned is that my public speaking is a bit rusty. So please forgive me if my statements are a little bit short and not close to the 5 minutes I'm allotted. Thank you for considering me in this rare opportunity for House District 19, the temporary position. I've never considered running for public office. My life goals were to have a successful business, a strong and happy marriage, and enjoy life with my children and grandchildren. I've not had much contact with government agencies for any reasons. I've applied for this position because I'm committed to making Oregon a better place. When I discuss politics with people, they usually focus on federal issues. Some people spend hours discussing people who are running for federal positions and usually are in other states. But they have no idea the names or views of their own county commissioners, state representatives, or state senators. If all would focus on local issues first, the federal problems will work themselves out. My top 3 issues for Oregon are the economy and jobs. Some have quit looking for jobs because it's taken so long for the economy to turn around. Others are attending school until the economy does pick up again. Taxes and regulations, making it very hard for small businesses to make ends meet or to stay open. Marriage. I'm angry that the voice of the people was not defended by the state recently. Some are questioning if our votes count. Others are questioning if our voice is being heard. There's lots of other issues facing Oregon. Taking back the federal lands so that Oregonians can have our own natural resources, the legalization of marijuana, Common Core, Cover Oregon and Obamacare, PERS and debt reduction, immigration, environmental issues and GMO, which are affecting our farming, and the I-5 Washington-Oregon Bridge. Because this is a temporary position, I probably will not be working directly with other representatives to remedy these issues for Oregon, but the temporary position does capitalize with my strengths. I've had 27 years of customer service, training, and skills, 17 years as a business owner. I've acquired strong skills such as listening and research, conflict resolution, and my outgoing personality, and help me to assist and discuss issues with Oregonians. I'll be the first person to admit that I'm not versed in every issue, but I can find out, and I'll get the information needed, and I'll be able to help those who contact my office. My resume has customer service skills acquired through the job training and through parenting, listening skills, where you listen attentively and you see, are they asking a question that needs to be answered? Do they want some help to accomplish a task? Or do they just want to voice their opinion? Research skills. I've worked in IT for several years, and every time you walk into a building, you're running into issues that you may have never seen before. I have a hard time, though, giving up on trying to find the answers to things. I spend a lot of time on Google. I'm able to separate personal feelings during conflicts. I can stay calm. I don't take personal or differences personally, and I believe that beliefs are acquired through experiences, so it's really important to me to show respect to those who have different beliefs than I do. I have some personal traits that make it easy for me to communicate with other people. I'm friendly and open with people. My youngest daughter thinks that I make best friends on the yarn aisle at Michael's. I'm patient, trustworthy. People trust my opinion. I have integrity. I hold myself to a very high standard. I love the word liberty. Liberty is freedom plus personal responsibility. I would be honored to assist Oregonians from House District 19 through this temporary term. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan, just as close as you can with that microphone. No, just pull it towards you and oops. Should have warned all of you, and if you could try to, the closer the better. All right, Jen, when you're ready, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioner Carlson, Commissioner Brentano, Commissioner Cameron. Thank you for taking your time today. I'm Janice Williamson, and I'm here to ask for your vote to fill the vacancy left by Representative Cameron's move out of his HD 19, only for about 7 months. First, I want to make perfectly clear, I am not running for the seat in November. Even though I won the vote of my peers in House District 19 for this nomination by 68.47% on the first ballot, I have already turned down an offer for a write-in campaign, and I will help Jody Hack get elected. Holding the Republican seat in House District 19 is too important to chance splitting the vote. I moved to the Northwest in 1982 and have lived in the district for 23 years. I have no children that went to school here. I worked for Motorola in Phoenix for 20 years as a process technician, where I handled all manner of complaints and problems and worked out solutions for a number of situations, personnel and mechanical. I have worked for other companies here and been a small business owner. Larry and I have been married for 34 years, 6 children, 10 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. I currently am a delegate to the Marion County Republican Central Committee, the ORP Central Committee, first vice president of Capital City Republican Women, and sit on the board of the Oregon Federation of Republican Women. I was employed by the ORP as compliance administrator in 2007 and 8, working all aspects of banking, accounts payable, accounts receivable, record keeping, insurance administration, office management, state fair booth, get out the vote, and answering 7 phone lines, most all the time, people complaining about what was going on in the government and very angry with Republicans. From every ORP chairman I've worked for, I've received the Chairman's Award for Service Above and Beyond. I am a lifelong Republican that passionately loves this country and its freedom. I am dedicated to restoring the power of the Constitution, not only the First and Second Amendment, but all of it. And I am outraged by the war on Christianity. I am pro-life, believe marriage is one man and one woman. I am for smaller and less regulated government, promoting good jobs that don't require folks to work 2 or 3 jobs to earn a living wage. I am opposed to Agenda 21 and all aspects of the United Nations One World takeover of this country. Marion County Republican Central Committee has double the PCPs, updated bylaws, records on CD, the difference between 300 and 5,000. That's 16 times more money in the bank after my chairmanship. And we had started working on reducing the 300 a month in expenses. we encountered all manner of problems, including the Marion County being considered a corporation under people's names that weren't even part of it anymore. I have shown community leadership by testifying in front of the legislative committees at the Capitol and the county commissioners on a number of issues like the tyranny of healthcare, gun control, drones, justice courts, and keeping the election of PCPs. I attended hearings on many other issues like Common Core. I have been fighting here for freedom against the freedom-grabbing bad legislation. I can hit the ground running because I am already familiar with a lot of the issues. Republicans must show leadership and stand strong on issues like jobs, getting government and the EPA off the backs of small business. We must take a stand on the socialized takeover of healthcare and the ominous brainwashing of our children. Common Core has decided to dumb down all children to make each and every one educated to the exact same level, regardless of their ability, and to make them all compliant with the socialist message from Washington, D.C. and the UN. Someone needs to carry the conservative Republican message into the legislature, and that person is me. We can ill afford any more Republicans to sit out the elections because they are mad about how the votes are cast. If chosen to be your representative for House District 19, you can bet your buttons I will vote as a freedom-loving conservative, honestly, openly, and diligently defending the Constitution of the United States, the state of Oregon, and following the Oregon Republican platform. I have also had a number of positions in my life where I was part of the board of the organizations where I had to deal with a number of service issues and personal issues, and I handled that very well. I'm a problem solver. Thank you. I'm Janice Williamson.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the first of these 9 questions. Becky, get ready. I'm going to start with you. And that question is this, the first of the 9. Knowing this appointment will only serve until January, please tell us what you believe are the office priorities and what skills and experiences you have to ensure the priorities are met.
Well, it's my understanding that unless the governor calls a special session, we will be mostly working with our constituents, people in the House District 19, helping them to gather information, answering questions. I do know that Mr. Cameron is on some committees. I am trying to get some information on that, and I'm trying to get more familiar with what they are, and I don't know if I'll be asked to go to those, but I am prepared to do that. And I think one of the most important things is keeping a diary, making sure that the transition for the person who takes this position full-time in January has documentation of what has been done.
All right. And Jan, I know you said Janice. Which do you prefer, or do you?
Jan,
Jan is
usually you
fine.
only call me Janice when you're mad at me.
All right. Okay, Jan, you're
And
next.
if you're really mad, it's Janice Ruth.
You go ahead with the same question
you.
then, please.
I have worked in a number of different organizations where my computer skills have come into play. I've been working back and forth with the government on the issues here with Representative Cameron and Representative Berger, Commissioner Patty Milne, and I am pretty familiar with them. I will see to it that Jody Hack has a full report on everything, keep her in close contact with me, and so she'll be up to speed by the time this comes up. And I am open to going to Representative Cameron's committees and feel I would be a complete asset in that instance.
Denise?
I answered a little bit of this in my opening remarks, but I basically see this in two major roles. One is continuing the constituent service and working with the communities and problems of the city of Almsville, Turner, Salem, things that come up throughout on a day-to-day basis. But then the other side of this is getting up to speed on the committees that I would be asked to serve on. Again, I'm presuming they would be the same committees, but I know that things don't always go logically at the state capitol. So if that occurs, getting up to speed, meeting with the committee chair, knowing what the issues are with regards to legislation, because this fall is the time that they really look at pre-session filing and preparing things for the 2015 agenda. So I would be prepared to be an active participant in that as well.
Okay, so we're going to mix things up and confuse even Barb, who put this together for us, because we decided we wanted to rotate rather than just doing the 3 questions in a row for each commissioner. So we're going to jump to question 4, which is, what do you consider to be the most efficient government program in terms of delivery of service and the results achieved for the money spent? And I believe, Jan, it's your turn to go first.
Okay. I hope I've got the right entity here, but I think the water service is one that works really well. I know we've had an occasional problem, but not much. We deliver plenty of water, good water, and have a wonderful record on the testing of the water and for a reasonable price. So I think the water service is one of the best.
We'll move down to Denise.
Well, I have a pretty strong opinion that the less government does, the better it is for its citizens. However, one program that I was really been impressed with is Oregon Operation Independence. And this organization takes a comparatively small amount of resources and leverages it in to really assist in a very practical and positive manner the elderly and those with disabilities in our community throughout our state.
Okay. And Becky, you get to go last.
I know that recently it was in the news with not great news, but the incinerator in Brooks takes a really crummy situation of the waste that we have here in Oregon. And, as we go along, we tend to have more and more and more waste. And it turns it into a real positive with bringing energy to the area. And I think it's a really awesome program, and I'm very impressed with it.
Thank you.
That was good. Okay, I think we're back to Denise as first on this question. It seems there's always an attempt to reduce lottery money available to counties for economic development purposes. How will you specifically help to protect those resources for our local businesses and entrepreneurs?
Well, I thought about this question. Actually, of all of these, I was trying to think of practically in this 7-month term, my opportunity and likelihood of being able to affect this. But I just presumed that something like this would come up. So I would approach this as I would with a lot of different legislative issues, is involving our local leadership, our county chamber, people that are going to be negatively affected by the potential withdrawal of these funds to our community, and make sure that we had a strong presence in the Capitol. I've noticed there's been, sometimes it's improved dramatically, but a disconnect between some things that are happening locally and things that are happening at the state level. The legislature is infamous for sending down unfunded mandates to our communities, and so I don't think it's within our best interest to take away the current funds that they have. I also happen to know that Representative Cameron's office sits next to Representative Barnhart, who's the chair of the Revenue Committee, and is always endeavoring to find new money. And there's a lot of eavesdropping that occurs in the Capitol, so I would instruct my staff to make sure that they're listening.
I'm not real familiar with the
Okay.
laws
Becky?
that were in setting up the lottery. So that's something I would have to definitely look into and make sure that the money is being put where it's appropriately stated in the laws.
Jan?
I would try to get the legislators to see the need for the money to stay here in the county. One thing that comes to mind is where we took the school funding that we were supposed to get for the lottery and used it somewhere else, expecting to get government funds, and then we compromised ourselves with what the government wanted us to do with it. And so mainly try to reach a compromise with the legislators, make sure that they hear the reasons that the people need the money, bring them in and get testimony from them on the issues that are here, that where the money is needed badly, and try to get a consensus on keeping the money here. You got to talk to people.
Thank you.
All right, the next, I'm starting with Becky. Name 3 community leaders or other organizations that are actively supporting your nomination.
I've not spoken to many people, and honestly, I don't have a lot of community leaders that I'm real friendly with. But everybody I've spoken to is extremely supportive. And I hear people say, it's so nice that somebody is a regular person is doing this. And I get great support from just about everybody I've spoken to that, oh, if you get in, I need to talk to you. I know what needs to be changed. So.
All right, thank you. Jan?
Okay. I am well supported by the Capital City Republican Women. I have a gallery full here. The Oregon Federation of Republican Women, their past president and a lady that sits on the national board has written me a letter of recommendation, as well as the state president. And Chairman David Darnell of Marion County, former Commissioner Patty Milne have all expressed very strong wishes for me to move forward with this. Commissioner Milne has helped me tremendously in deciphering like the health care bill and other problems that arise in the county. I've worked very closely with her for the last couple of years on a number of issues, and she's a strong supporter.
I know that Oregon Right to Life is supporting me. I know that Ken Hector, who's a great community leader throughout Marion County, is supporting me. And Stuart Olson and his wife Christina McNitt of Olson Farms are also supporting me, to name a few.
All right, on to question 5. And Jan, you get to, let's see, it is Jan's turn to start, right? Okay. So it is, please explain your experience working with federal, state, and local government officials to resolve issues.
I think this, some of these lop over from state to federal, like the health care bill. But I've testified many times in front of committee hearings and tried to convey the mission of the people, that they did not like the health care bill. I've written letters about the Columbia River crossing and communicated with Representative Cameron about the money that was being wasted on that. I've worked with the Commission on Drones, where we were in danger of getting our model airplanes. My husband and I fly model airplanes, and our club is in danger of losing their flying ability because of them calling our model airplanes drones. And they wound up accepting the model airplanes from the legislation that was passed, so we wouldn't have that. I testified before the county commission about the CCOs, not terribly successfully, but as you can see, it was a big mistake and it's gone down in a heap. So, but I tried to make the communication get the word across that the people did not want this.
Okay, Denise?
Well, I interpreted this question regarding dealing with the different entities of government, and my experience in that has actually been pretty vast, but to name a few things, I've actually worked with quite a number of people in our community on Social Security and ID issues. When the legislature passed the Real ID Act several years ago, which was a good, solid piece of legislation, but the unintended consequences were we have quite a number of seniors that have lived here and been part of Oregon for 50, 60 years that couldn't prove who they were. So I've worked with the federal, our delegation and other organizations in order for them to be able to continue to operate as citizens in our state. On a local level, a state level, I've also worked with people in resolving unfair taxing issues of penalties that were not logical. And I always try to bring a sense of practicality in all that I do. It's more important, you can be right, but let's be effective also.
Becky?
Once again, I don't have a lot of experience. Any experience I would have with local, state, federal government, I really haven't had conflicts or issues, but I have in other situations, and I have very strong customer service skills, very strong communication and listening skills. I'm very organized. I can communicate with people pretty well.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are to Denise first. And I think we're on question number 8 on your list, right? Have you ever said or written something that you regret? And would you tell us about that?
Those that know me know I've had plenty of options to choose from to answer this question. But I'm going to go back to one that occurred when I was first married because it really impacted me throughout the rest since then. I was having I made some accusation towards my husband that he was not very impulsive or fun, or because he's a solid rock of my life. And I said a whole bunch of things, and he got really wounded. And he looked at me and he says, "I picked up and moved across the country at a drop of a hat." And you think, that I didn't have any sort of, being impulsive. And being impulsive somehow was a positive thing for me at that time. And I looked at him, I go, "Well, I didn't mean everything I said." And he looked at me and he said, "How would I know what you meant or what you didn't mean?" And it was a very poignant moment in my life about reckless words, and something that I was not known for being very good at being careful in my earlier days. And I believe I've improved quite a bit, but it is something that I'm cognizant about often.
I think anybody who says they haven't said something they regret is lying. I, too, in my younger years, was very impulsive. I'm very fluent in sarcasm, and some people just don't get it. And I've had to learn, as I've aged, that there's a time and place for that. One thing I have learned is the quicker you step up and say, "I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, I was wrong," or "What I told you was incorrect and I want to make it right," or "What I said didn't come out right," the sooner you clear that up, the better off you are. I don't like to let it go. I like to clear it up. I like to be able to look everybody in the eye.
Can I just clarify, follow up if I may? Do you have an example
An example
of when that's happened?
when that's happened.
And what? Tell us about it.
Yes, when I was younger, I have a very good friend who was going through some health problems, and we decided to go to dinner together, and she had a whole list of things she could not eat. And I said, well, we can't go here and here because she can't go. And she felt awful about being, pointed out in the group. And I didn't realize it till later. I apologized at the next group meeting and told her how much her friendship meant to me. And I told her that I would hope that this wouldn't change our friendship, which it hasn't. We're still the best of friends.
Thank you. Jan?
I think we've all had moments in the heat of an argument or when we're very passionate about something that we've said something that we shouldn't have. This encompasses Representative Cameron. He came to a breakfast meeting for Marion County one time, and we thought he acted in very rude manner, and he told pretty much the group that I was lying and didn't know what I was talking about. And I didn't confront him with it or say anything out in public, but after that, I said I thought he was lying. Either that or he didn't read the bill, one or the other. And I here and now do apologize to Representative Cameron for making that statement. It doesn't make any difference whether something is true or not. We can choose not to use harmful words. And I should have come and spoken to him and found out where his thoughts were a little clearer. But he was angry, I was angry, and the whole thing went down in flames. And we later had another meeting, and that didn't make it any better. And so we needed a whole bunch more communication that never happened. But I do here apologize for telling some of my friends that I thought you lied.
Thank you.
All right, we're on question number 3, and I'm back to Denise.
No.
I think it's Becky.
Is it Becky? Excuse me. Yes, I should know. I'm always Becky, and I wrote that down. But you see, what I write down and what I say are two separate things. But I like this question, and it's a trap. It's a dandy. We have a Democratic governor, Democratic-controlled Senate, and Democratic-controlled House. Obviously, there must be compromise for the minority party to accomplish anything. How do you find the balance between principle and compromise?
There are some principles that I absolutely will not compromise on, just will not. They are set in stone. There are other things that I do not feel as strongly about, so it really depends on the situation. But I think that communicating what you do feel really strongly about, communicating the principles that you will not, but letting them know where that line is a start, because they also have that line where they will not compromise.
Okay. Jen?
Okay. Depending on the issue, I do a list whenever I'm confronted with problems of what to do. I write down the pros and cons and weigh it all. And that's what I would do with any problems or issues that come up or the legislation that comes up, and listen to what the people have to say and try to convince them that, to see my point of view, and come with a great deal of detail and a lot of proof to back up what you're saying. I'm a team player, and I know how to to get things done and to work out problems. A lot of times stuff comes up in life where you have to find another route, and that's what you have to do with this sort of thing. You have to work out things and take a different tack sometimes, and just let something go. Usually, if you've got a bunch of things, you can see where you have pros and cons, you can find a number of them that aren't life-threatening to you, and meet them halfway with that.
Denise?
I was surprised when I started in the legislature, the amount of things that there are agreement upon. The things that we hear in the paper and that occur are, I would say, 10%, maybe more, maybe less. And those are where you get your hardcore principles. And I go in there with a pretty strong, I would say extremely strong set of beliefs. Some things are not compromisable. I don't know if that's a word. Others are, in the sense that, for example, I believe that the private sector does a lot of things really well. The governor and the Democrats in general are more government-oriented, government programs, wanting to solve problems using government. When I look at that example, if there's something that's being put forward as legislation, my opportunity is to try to insert some private sector input, some of the values that I believe to be really critical for the success of this country into something that you can kind of get a sense of it's getting steamrolled through the legislature and what the agendas are and what the priorities are. And so it's not for everybody. It's not an easy process to be able to try to change and make what really might not be great legislation, but it's going to pass a little bit better for the people of the state. And so I've watched that occur. I would say earlier in my life, I wasn't sure if I had the stamina to do something like that. But again, I've alluded to, I'm a realist, I'm a very practical person, and I want to see things improve for the people in this state.
So now to question 6, and we start with Jan. How would you ensure a smooth transition and provide consistency for the new elected representative when your term expires?
I would literally, strap Jody to my leg. I would keep the lines of communication open and keep her apprised of everything that was going on in the legislature. I have thought about this, and I thought about a survey of what is important to the people of House District 19 and share those results with her. I thought about having a town hall where people could come and meet her and make sure that everybody knows who she is and that she's, well, let's hope she wins, would be the next legislator, and just stay in touch with her constantly.
Denise?
I believe that it's really important to have continuity and transition in this community. I think the people in House District 19 are better served by individuals that are willing to work together regardless of party affiliation. I would maintain good records as far as constituent issues that are being worked on, legislation that had been introduced on behalf of certain constituents or committees that I was serving on, and just an ongoing, I liked your comment, diary, so to speak. So you have strong records to pass on whoever wins the election in November. And you have 2 months at that point, give or take, before they would actually be sworn into office to be able to transition. And I would be committed to doing that regardless of my friend Jody Hack winning or her Democrat opponent winning, because it's important to the people that the business that's being taken care of for them continues to go into the next session.
Thank you. Becky?
My lack of government experience has made it really hard to answer some of these questions, but I got this. I will have no problem making sure that Jody knows everything that's going on, that she's abreast of what's happening. I do this for a living at my own company with my husband. I will keep a diary. I will keep her informed. I will even talk to her about how she would work with things. I have already set up a time that Jody's going to come to my house and meet with the other PCPs from House District 19 in July. I'm going to do my best to get her elected, and I want her to hit the ground running when she's sworn in January.
Thank you.
Wow, you're doing so well here. I think it's back to me. Excuse me for my hay fever and cold that causes me to have a hard time seeing and breathing today. Tell us about a time when you successfully resolved a citizen's problem or issue with a government organization or within a nonprofit or any other organization that you belong to. Tell us about the problem and how you resolved it.
Well, I've mentioned several already, one that comes to mind has to do with the property tax deferral that kind of got gutted at one point for some of our seniors several years ago. And we had some constituents that did not get fair warning for what was about to happen and having to pay some pretty hefty fees and property taxes back. And that was more of a long process, but working with Representative Berger, it actually required some legislative fixes, but I was able to communicate the needs and work back and forth between what was happening in the legislature and what was happening in our community. And I think satisfactorily, several of them were able to be resolved. Not all things are able to be fixed, but I've found that that people just want to know that someone's listening and is going to try to do something. And I feel like as my job as a state representative would continue to provide some assurance that there are pieces of our government that are working well and it is responsive to the individual needs of our citizens, and that is really important to me.
Becky?
I love to help people. So if somebody came to me with an issue and needed my help, I would use my listening skills to find out exactly what it is that they need, research it, do everything I could. But looking at them in the eye and letting them know, I'm going to do everything I can do to help you, and keeping the communication open, people just want to be heard. And that is one thing that I can do for them. I haven't had a lot of experience with the government and discrepancies like this, but in other situations, I'm very good at keeping notes, keeping dates, times, who I've spoke to, working through logically, keeping an open mind.
Jan?
Several years ago, I was working with Salem Wildlife Rehabilitation Association. I worked with them about 6 years. I was their treasurer. I helped them get their 501c3. And then I worked around to where I was spending all my time with one rehabber that rehabbed raccoons. And I have grown to love raccoons very strongly. And I think they get a really bad rap. Everybody says they do bad things, and I haven't had that experience in a number of years working with them. But one thing that happened, the state Fish and Game demanded that my rehabber release the baby raccoons when they were ill-equipped to stand on their own. If they were orphans, they had lost their parents, and turning them loose is just, you may as well just kill them all because they can't make it by themselves. And they were after her really strongly. They were going to come in and make her, get rid of all of them. And with my testimony and talking to them, we got a reprieve of over the winter. She used to overwinter all of her baby raccoons, and to where they had the whole winter. They had another like 4 or 5 months, and to turn them loose in the spring when there's food out there. And you have the winter time to help them learn what kind of foods to look for, and they're better equipped to handle themselves at that point in time. But with my testimony, talking to them, they gave her that much time before she had to release all the babies, and they were better off. They ultimately took her license because she would not quit doing that, and that was a real shame because she, I think, did the best care of anybody in the valley for raccoons.
Thank you.
All right, those are the 9 questions, and I guess I'm probably lost order, but I think, Jan, we haven't started with you yet in a whole new subject. So if you could give your closing statements, and starting with you, Jan.
Marion County Commissioners Carlson, Brentano, and Cameron, thank you for holding this hearing. Participating in this process has been thrilling and humbling, and especially when I won the vote of confidence from the people who know me best, with 68.47% on the first ballot. This position is effectively a lame duck position and may not afford a chance to actually vote on legislation. I would really love that chance, which may be the only chance that I will ever have. While I would be delighted to have that opportunity, I realize that most of what I would be doing would be helping constituents. And since becoming the Marion County Republican chair, I've had a lot of opportunities to do just that. In fact, I'm still getting calls from Marion County and other counties from folks seeking wise counsel and honesty. Helping Republicans get elected has been a priority. I volunteered so many hours from 2009 to 11 that I won the National Federation of Republican Women's Award for most volunteer campaign hours, nationally and for Oregon, in competition with NFRW. I think their membership at that time was about 100,000 ladies across the country. I've volunteered with the Oregon Citizens Lobby in the War Room and analyzing bills. I've chaired planks, crime and self-protection, a couple for the ORP platform convention, as we worked on trimming the platform from 42 pages down to 8. At 42 pages, you couldn't get the legislators or the candidates to take a look at it. I'm a detail person. I don't do anything halfway. I always go the extra mile. I take copious notes everywhere I go, and so a diary would be no problem with me. I'm retired, and as I gave up looking for a job, because I couldn't find one, and free to dive into representing the folks of House District 19. To represent means to stand for or speak for something or someone, but first you must listen to those you are representing by having voter surveys or town halls. You have to know what the problems are before you can fix it. When I do get the opportunity to deliberate over a piece of legislation, actually read it, I promise faithfully to give it my all, my full consideration that my years of experience and age of wisdom bring to the table, and balance that with the needs and desires of my constituents in House District 19. I've spent a lot of years working with Marion County and the ORP and listening to a lot of problems that have gone on here, and talked people out of trees a number of times that are very angry with the government. I am not running for Jody Hack's seat, but I will help her get elected if at all possible. Thank you. I'm Jan Williamson, and I'm asking for your vote.
Denise?
Well, I didn't expect to be seeking elected office at this time. And when the circumstances kind of evolved, I actually tried to get some other people to consider doing this. And I had this quiet moment, and I thought about, and I realized that I have a lot to bring to this position and to this community right now. And I would hope that you would consider my experience, my passion, my desire to see Oregon be better for all its citizens. And in your selection process, keep the people of House District 19 at the foremost of your mind, because those are the people that matter in this situation, and those are the ones that need to be served well. And I'm prepared to do that, and I'm excited to do that. And if you select me for this position, again, it would be one of the greatest honors of my life. Thank you.
My resume is not one of someone who plans to run for public office. I lack a higher education. I lack government experience, and I don't have a lot of volunteering in my community. I'm a mom and a grandma and a small business owner. In 2010, I became a PCP because I decided voting wasn't enough anymore. I needed to get involved. I love Oregon. I'm a second-generation Oregonian, and I want the Oregon I remember for my grandchildren and future generations. I've spent time in phone banks calling for candidates. I've walked for candidates and knocked on doors. I helped with Nation Builder, which is a database program on the internet that we're using for Marion County. I've stood in fair booths and talked to people. I've asked people to sign different initiatives. I will work very hard to elect Republicans this fall. I would be very happy to use my strong customer service skills to help the people in House District 19 until Jody Hack can take over in January. Regardless of the appointment of this position, I've caught the bug, and I have a feeling I'm going to be a lot more involved, and you may see me again. I have a passion, not for politics, but for Oregon. I love this state, and I want to make it better. I thank you so much for this opportunity, and I ask for your vote.
All right. Thank you all. Lynn, I don't think you put a card up ever. Did you, once? All right. But thank you for concise answers and thought-out answers. I reserved the opportunity for us to comment at the end of the questions. Would you, either of you or any of us?
Well,
And I'm glad you're starting, because you should be the most of anyone knowing what this position entails.
it's with mixed emotions. I sit here and ask these questions and listen to you because I was in your chair 9.5 years ago, going through exactly what you were going through, and I know probably of the three of us up here how you feel, or maybe how you don't feel, I'm not sure. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all three of you and what you have done in the past, what you're doing by sitting here today and going through this process, and regardless of the outcome of this process, what you will do in the future for Oregon. And Becky, I heard you loud and clear. I never thought of myself as a politician. I thought of myself as a husband and a father and a business person, and I happened to get appointed and then reelected and elected, and now people call me a politician, but I don't believe the office is what makes us. And I heard that loud and clear through all three of your themes today, and I want to thank you for being great Americans.
I want to thank these three ladies. I am so excited that we have three very highly qualified female Republicans here to represent us today. No offense to the males that are sitting next to me. But we do need more women to run for political office, and it's great that you are here and willing and qualified to do that. I also would echo Commissioner Cameron, formerly Representative Cameron, that you all did very well, that I appreciated the answers that you all gave, that you can tell in your answers that you have a passion for Oregon, a passion for people, a passion to make this state a better place, and that's the type of qualities that we need in someone that will serve as a state representative. I served for just one term myself, and I know that it's certainly, I used to compare it to, so I'm old enough to remember watching Ed Sullivan. I think most of you are at least in that same age range. And they used to have this one act where this guy would spin plates on the sticks on the top. Do you remember that act? And he'd run back and forth, and so I would always divide up the parts of me. So I had my running to all of my committees as one of the plates, and then the constituent work would be another one of the plates, and then pushing for my own legislation would be another one of the plates, and there's a few other things that I would describe when I was there. And so it is really a juggling act, if you will, to make it all work. You will have, as you've all mentioned, the what should I say, the privilege and honor of maybe not having to be on the floor and deal with all of the chaos that goes on there, but doing the work, I think, which is really the most important work of a state representative, which is to deal with the people's issues and to help them with those issues. So whoever is in this office really needs to make sure that that is a high priority. If there is a special session, obviously that's going to be a whole nother ballgame, but chances are, as you mentioned, there will not be one. The other thing that I think was very important that was mentioned was, and Denise, I think you're the one that brought this up first at least, was the ability to pre-session file bills. There is not a better opportunity to get things moving in the process, because so much of what I found out, at least in my time there, so much of the effort of moving something from one chamber to another chamber to the governor's office is in the timing. And unless you have a real key bill that everybody agrees with, that they're willing to hold and make special arrangements for, if you can be early on in the queue and get your bill heard early and then get it across and heard on the Senate side, so much better an opportunity to have it passed. And so I know that when you're in this position, whoever is here will be able to work with constituents to get that legislation moved forward. And I think we in Marion County may have an idea or two for some things that need to be done and maybe knocking on your door. So anyway, it is very much an honor to represent the people, and this is really democracy in action. And so, again, I very much appreciate your willingness to step forward and the great job that you did today. And I'm sure you're all breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief as you're sitting here listening to me, and we move forward in this process. So thank you.
I got some comments. I don't know if it's really a question, but you can answer if you want to, strictly optional. But what I observed, all three of you in one form or another seem like you've had an opportunity to think this over and maybe wish that you would have run for office. I heard you, Denise, say you've thought about it and had lots to offer. And Becky, you said, we'll see you again. And you, Jen, said, this is kind of my chance. And I wonder if all of you don't wish that in hindsight you just would have filed. And you don't have to answer. And I know you all want to support Jody. I heard that too. But
Can I answer?
you can. I'm going to make one more comment. Sometimes we wish we would have done things, and it might be a good lesson if the opportunity is there to you or the public to strike while the iron's hot. But Jan, go ahead.
Well, I never thought of myself as a politician either. I didn't get into politics until after I couldn't find a job. And basically, well, I got the job, actually, Amy Langdon, you probably remember her, was ED of ORP, and she hired me, and she gave me the bug. And after I quit working for that, I went straight to Marion County and got, neck deep in it, and I've been involved in it ever since then. But doing this process has been, I really put a lot into it. I can see where I feel the same way the other girls do, but I didn't express that thought as clearly as I could have. That's the real reason I'm doing this, is because I want to help Oregon, and I want to help mostly the people of Oregon, who I feel are not always getting a fair rap with the Democratic legislature. And so it's been an honor to be here, and I would hope that you would choose me, but I don't know that I would run again. You guys probably all know I'm 75. Now, you wouldn't know that to look at me, and I dare any one of you to follow me anywhere I go. But when am I going to get another chance like this? So that's what I meant, was that would be probably the only chance. This doesn't come along in the, 15 years or so that I've been really, really active. I've never seen this opportunity come up. And so, the only other way would be to haul off and try to run against Representative Cameron, which would be an exercise in futility.
Election day is a victory either way, Mr. Chair.
All right. Becky, go ahead if you'd like.
I probably would not be here today if it wasn't for this temporary position special. I've never considered it, and A couple people came to me and said, "Have you thought about this?" And I hadn't. And I'm sorry I hadn't. And I'm sorry I questioned myself. But now I'm ready to learn more. I'll be able to answer a lot of these questions if this ever happens again.
I don't regret not filing for this office. I believe that you can get a lot of things done without being a state representative, although it's helpful to know state representatives. I have, as I mentioned before, 3 very active, busy teenagers and a husband that's on the road quite a bit. This is not my time. This is my time potentially to do this. I feel my family was extremely supportive. At one point, probably 6 months ago, my husband looked at me and he says, "You're not going to run. Are you going to run for this?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, good." And because you have to have the fire in the belly to go through that process. It is intense. It is thankless. There's a lot of good things and great things that happen, but it's not as cool as I think a lot of people think it is. It's hard. And I've been an eyewitness on to many people of that, both in the legislature, in the county, and other elected officials. Will I say I will never run for elected office? I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to run today.
All right, thank you all. So, that pretty well wraps up our operations this afternoon. We have these that have come in as nominee letters of support. I'll enter them, make them available for the public record. We'll continue to accept those comments until 4 o'clock on Tuesday, tomorrow, June 24th. And then on Wednesday, the 25th at 9 o'clock. Now, let's see if I saw this right. Yes, I don't know what this means. It says at our regular special board session. Aren't they all special? They're all special. Anyway.
It's like you're special.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's continue. On Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we'll deliberate and then choose one of you to fill this position. So anything else this afternoon anyone wants to say?
Well, just to say, at that regular special board session, one of the reasons I think it's special is because we will be doing this first on the agenda, right? So generally speaking, we would have presentations and then public comment and our consent calendar and then move into action items and public hearings. But because this is the preeminent action that we'll take, we're moving it to the forefront so you don't have to sit through hours of meetings, as some of you have done in the past, to be able to find out who we're selecting.
They wanted to get into politics, they should have to sit through hours of meetings.
Be good training. All right, anything else? Then thank you again, and thanks to everyone that came today.